There are lots of different ways of making texture and bobbles in your crochet. Today I'm going to show you how to do the puff stitch. Grab your hooks and let's get started. So I'm going to show you how to work the crochet puff stitch. This is a puff stitch just sitting here, and a puff stitch looks a little bit like a bobble. There are three kinds of sort of bobbly looking stitches with crochet. There's a puff stitch like this one, there's a bobble stitch and a popcorn stitch. These ones are puff stitches, and they are different because they're just whole loops that are pulled up into a stitch, and I'll show you how we do it. Now, puff stitches are quite often buried into other stitches. So for example, I've got here US single crochet, UK double crochet stitches, and that's very nice because the bobbles, these little puffs, they sit up quite nicely against the background of the smaller stitches, and I'll show you how we work them. It's really super easy. So the first thing we do is work along to where the bobble is going to be. So I'm just going to work very simple US single crochets, UK double crochet, to the point where we want the bobble. So there, I keep saying bobble, but I mean puff. So this is where we want our little puff stitch to be. So we yarn over, then you pop your hook into the stitch and pull up a loop. So we've got 3 loops on the hook, and then we yarn over again, put the hook back into the stitch and pull up a loop. So we've now got 5 loops on the hook. Then we yarn over, back into the same stitch and pull up a loop. And now you've got 7 loops on the hook. Now, different size puff stitches are appropriate for different patterns. You might find that there are a lot more loops on the hook if it's a really big puff stitch, but your pattern will tell you how many loops to pull up. And then we just yarn around and then pull the little hook, that little loop, all the way through all 7 loops. And then I'm going to work another little puff, a little double crochet, single crochet US there to secure it, and then push the little puff stitch through. Now let's do that again. So I'm just going to work along to where we're going to put our next little puff stitch. They're very, very sweet, these stitches. In fact, I'm going back one. Let's put it there. So if we're going to put this one here, so what we do is yarn over into the stitch and pull up a loop. So you've got 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over into the stitch, pull up a loop. We've now got 5. Yarn over into the stitch and pull up a loop. Now we've got 7 loops on the hook. Then hold the yarn over, and I find it useful just to pinch at the bottom of those loops so that you've got a bit of flexibility with your hook, and just bring this little loop back through all 7. And then I'm going to put a single crochet US, double crochet UK in the next stitch. And don't worry, because it looks now like your puff stitch is stuck. Just push it through with your finger. And there it is. So let's go along and do another one. Just put a few little stitches there. So let's put another one there. And so we do yarn over into the stitch and pull up a loop. 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over into the stitch and pull up a loop. Now we've got 5 loops on the hook. Yarn over into the stitch and pull up a loop. Now we've got 7 loops on the hook. Bring your yarn over, pinch at the bottom, and then just pull this little loop through all 7. And then we're going to put a single crochet US, double crochet UK in the next stitch, and then just with your finger at the back, push the puff out. Now, I just want to show you what it looks like on the wrong side, because your puff stitches are going to work on the right side of the work. You can see them there. So I'm just going to turn so you can see the puffs from the back. When you work along the wrong side of the puff stitches. I'm just going to put some, slippery, some stitches along the back, just single crochet US, double crochet UK along the back. When you come to the puff stitch, we work the stitch on this wrong side just into the stitch that's behind it. So if you're wondering where you put the next two stitches, we put one in here and one in there. So it's quite easy, it's just knowing where to put it. So I'm going to put a stitch in there and then another one there, and then just carry on down the row. If I just turn around so you can see the stitches on the next row just sit around the puff. And so that is how we work a crochet puff stitch. I hope you really enjoyed doing those crochet puff stitches, and don't forget you can make them bigger with just adding more loops. They go beautifully on blankets or cushions, scarves, all sorts of things. Really easy to add. I'd like to know, how are you going to use your crochet puff stitches? Leave me a comment and let me know what you would add them to. And don't forget to subscribe for loads more fantastic stitch guides. Happy crochet!